As neighborhoods continue to diversify and gentrify, how do you reach out to new residents in order to unify the community as a whole? And again, we're going to start with Reverend Tiller.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And I would say that for those of you who saw the New York One debate the other night, we live in a diverse district, and I will be the city council person for every person that is a member of this, who lives a resident of this council district. Red, yellow, black, and white, we're all precious in God's sight. And so I'm very clear about that. But what I resent is the narrative that many in the media elite like to continue to trumpet. Let's be clear. Bed-Stuy is a majority African-American community. Let's be clear about that. And I think it's very important that we be concerned about the diversity. My next door neighbors are white. I have members in my church who are white. There are other ethnicities in the northern part of the district. It's a diverse district in one of the most diverse boroughs and counties and cities in the world. So that goes without saying. But I keep hearing people want to talk about new residents, and we need to do that. But we cannot forget about the overwhelming majority of residents in this district. And I might add, for many of them, this is not a gentrified district. They don't go in the new shops and coffee shops. They're not privy to some of the amenities that exist. And so I will do this. And that's why I resent people that try to divide us. I resent people because as far as I'm concerned, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. And if people decide they want to live in Bed-Stuy, they want to embrace the ethos of Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights, they want to be a part of this community, then no matter who they are, they can be successfully integrated into this community. And when you take the brilliance of the old school and the genius and innovation of the new school, you're going to have a tremendous community, and that's what New York City is all about. My opponents, some have criticized me because I'm not born and raised in New York, but I want to remind you that some of the greatest leaders we've ever had in this district, William Augustus Jones came from Kentucky, Gardner Taylor came from Louisiana, Sandy Ray came from Texas, and the list goes on and on. David Dinkins, the first African-American mayor of this city, was not from New York City. And so if people love this community, they should be embraced, but we cannot forget about the people that were here during the bad times and made a wonderful community that made it attractive that new people would want to come in. That's my position.
Thank you, Reverend Tiller. Mr. Cornegy?
What was the question?
As the neighborhoods of Bedford-Stuyvesant and Crown Heights continue to diversify and gentrify, how do you reach out to new residents in order to unify the community as a whole?
Well, I just want to first say that I was one of those people who was a resident here with my dad and my family when there was the quote-unquote bad times. And I think that there is no prescribed method to do that. If you walk this district the way that I do, if you spend time invested in civic organizations and involved in everything that happens in this community, then you're going to come in contact with the entire community and its diversity. So you don't have to, if you're a real true servant of this community, there is not an extra effort that needs to be put forward to engage new people. So I spend time at block association meetings, at tenant association meetings, at civic organizations, getting to know my neighbors. And I don't view them as having a specific color, because once you're in Bed-Stuy, you're good with me. So I don't need to go and have a prescription by which I'm going to identify a new demographic and reach out to them. So people who have been here forever know me, people who are just here know me, and the future knows me, because I spend an inordinate amount of time getting to know my friends and neighbors, and that's all that's necessary in order to bring together and be cohesive in a community. So I'm already doing that. I don't know what prescription I could put to do that. Just by being engaged in this community puts you at the forefront of meeting every single neighbor, and that's what I do.
Thank you, Mr. Cornegy. Mr. Foy.
I think that's absolutely right. When I was fighting the Bloomberg administration's elimination of 6,000 teachers, I wasn't fighting for just black students. I wasn't fighting for white students. As we fight to keep interfaith open, And I've gone to jail to keep Interfaith open. That wasn't so that black folks had a hospital to go to. That was so that everyone in our community has a hospital to go to. My background is diverse, but my mission is about human rights. My mission and my purpose is about making sure that we have an equal playing field for all people, irrespective of where you come from or who you are. You know, if we are going to move past a society that is racially charged, if we're going to move past the point where we're divided along racial lines and economic lines, we've got to move past questions like this. And this is no insult to whoever posed this question, but I don't look at people and see color. I look at people and see need. I look at people and see resource. I look at people and see capital. I look at people and I see potential. And if you can speak to people's needs, if you can speak to people's potential, if you can speak to people one-on-one, irrespective of who they are, what they look like, then you have created yourself a neighbor and you have begun to embrace the community at large. This isn't about whether or not we need to keep a certain percentage of our community, a certain demographic, or do we need to do things to target other who come into this community? People come into this community because they think it's beautiful, because they think it's safe, because they think there's something about living in Bedford-Stuyvesant and Crown Heights and Weeksville that makes them want to raise their families here and raise their children here. And as long as you believe that we can all coexist equally, then we need to move beyond who you are, where you come from, and start speaking to what we need to do collectively as a community to all move our communities forward. When our schools fail, they don't just fail black kids, they fail the white kids. When our hospitals close, they don't just close to Latinos, they close to Asians. Our resources and our public facilities and our public accommodations aren't just for people of a particular demographic, and those of us that stand up and fight aren't standing up and fighting for people of a particular demographic. We're standing up and fighting for our communities as a whole. And as long as we can keep our focus on our communities as a whole and move past these kinds of, racially charged questions like, who do you want to talk to as an important demographic, then we can begin to solve some of our problems instead of, to borrow a phrase, kick the can down the road.
We're going to move on to Mr. Sweeney.
Gentrification. Well, when I get a mailing such as this in the mail, coming from one of the candidates, and the way they behaved at New York 1, and the person that didn't invite me at New York 1, I'm glad, thank you. The way people look at gentrification is, oh my God, the whites are here. But all of a sudden, it seems like the community woke up. We dealt with Nostrand Avenue for 50 years. You couldn't fix the streets for us. So there's a rift with this. I mean, I heard Interfaith a couple of times. That's going to be a nice little conversation if they go that way. People have a right to live and move where they want to. But when you hold our community down, when you gave us nothing for 25 years, when the stores on Fulton Street sell us bad fruit, I did a comparison of the fruit on Fulton Street versus any other district. They sell us garbage. We have dealt with this. So now we see new people coming in, and there's things changing all of a sudden. That is the ultimate problem, how people see the people. And I don't like hypocrites. And I won't mention anyone. Stop skating around this race deal. We've always had problems with contracts. We've always had problems getting service. We don't even have a sanitation garage. Every other neighborhood does. We gotta move the cars 4 times a week. It just seems like the blacks have had a foot on our throats for a long time. And God bless the people that are coming in here. I'm for it. I got the best block on, I think, in Bed-Stuy. We have a diversified block. Everybody's planting, white, black. We have a gay population. Doesn't matter. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Whites are not the only one gentrifying this district. We got a lot of blacks coming in from Philly, Detroit, Chicago. I met getting petitions. When you go out and get your own petition, you meet a lot of interesting people. these folks are not buying from our district. They call it the food desert. I have some wonderful neighbors on my block. They're getting ripped off by the landlords just as well as we've been getting ripped off because they don't know. But what about the homeowners that had these homes for years and had somebody that looked like them in their home that didn't pay the rent? They're able to get the rent that they deserve, send their grandchildren to college, pay their mortgages. You know, listen, don't let the gentrification throw you off on the mission that we have to get this district back on track. And it's going to take everybody that lives here.
A mailing was held up with my likeness, but I just have a few moments to respond to that. And again, if we're going to talk to Mr. Foy about bringing people together, then as a leader, you cannot sit idly by when an organization like REBNY spends $80,000, the equivalent to what a candidate can get from Campaign Finance Board in matching funds for a total campaign, and yet a person who says on this platform they want to bring people together has sat by and allowed a real estate board, a board of moguls, people who've made this community largely unaffordable, to send a divisive mailing out, fear-mongering and trying to divide our community. I hope that Bed-Stuy will reject that. I hope that we will reject that.
Mr. Foy, I'll give you 30 seconds to respond to that, and then we're going to move on to the next question.
It's unfortunate. I have renounced negative campaigning in the Daily News. I have spent my own campaign money doing a robocall denouncing what was done to you.
After this was 8 mailings out?
Reverend Tiller, please.
I have spent my own campaign money denouncing what was done to you. But you cannot have it both ways. You can't run around today calling people devils and using that kind of language without having to answer for it.
All right, we're gonna stop it right there. We're gonna stop this right there. We're gonna move on to the next question. We're gonna move on to the next question. Thank you. Thank you. Next question. The next question is about. Next question is about landmarking. Please settle down. Settle down. Next question is about landmarking. All right. The city council